Warning: this show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewers' discretion is advised. This show may contain strong language and sensitive or controversial topics. We are not attorneys and are not providing legal advice. The views and conversations are our own thoughts and feelings, and therefore, purely speculation.
The entertainment world and beyond.
Skywalker air miles, feeding on a surface, gliding on water, constricted and conflicted.
Welcome to Purely Speculation, a show that exposes the harmful effects of the criminal legal system. I'm your host, Heather Lewis, the Executive Director of the Reuniting Family Bail Fund and practitioner of participatory defense. On this show, you'll learn about the unspoken horrors of the criminal justice system and meet fierce allies and advocates. We will make the best of our traumatic experiences. We will get angry. We may even cry. We most certainly going to laugh, but one thing's for sure, we're going to keep it real. Welcome to Purely Speculation.
When they free my sins and let them loose, they was killing me, I got scars to prove, got me paralyzed, I could even barely move. Out the way I took the pain again.
Hey, y'all. Welcome to RIA. Welcome to episode 11 of Purely Speculation, Court Watchers Edition. And as always, we have a phenomenal show for you tonight. We have a couple of guests, special guests. We spring that on you every now and again. And some other just happenings that are going on in our criminal justice space. And so first, we're going to talk a little bit about the new addition to the team, right? We've got Taria and Scotty, who's not here tonight, are our court watchers, right? Our core court watchers. Taria's our court watch coordinator. And as we continue to do this work, we start to see trends or things or needs that pop up, right? We're always filling gaps. We're always pulling people that got that expertise, that, you know what I mean, this collective knowledge. And I'm going to give Taria the kudos for this because most of them is her squad. Like, this is her squad. You know what I mean? So we are now introducing, and not that it's a brand new concept, right? Because we do this work, is now that we're organizing around this work of post-conviction. Taria, you want to talk about what post-conviction means? I mean, you know, I know what it is, but for the people that don't understand what we mean by post-conviction and how participatory defense can impact at that stage.
Yes. Hi. How's everyone tonight? Post-conviction is pretty much when you are, as it says, it speaks for itself. Post-conviction means that when you're sentenced and you're convicted of a crime, alleged crime, and you go up to do your time in state penitentiary, and sometimes it could be federal also. And when it comes to post-convictions, that means that some people in the post-conviction state, you know, either lifers or people that's doing 20 to 40s or 30 to 60s and above, that they come home and they reunite with the society and outside world. So they call that re-entry. So that's now because you come home, you're no longer in state or federal prison. Now it's considered post-conviction. And that means that you're home now from your sentencing or your sentencing being overturned. And that's why we are helping people with their post-convictions of having been sentenced and helping them to either lessen their time, reduce their time, or even overturn their time with that next level of steps.
And some of the reasons why that can happen is like the laws change, right? Or there found to be some impropriety within the court system and the court actors, whether the judge, you know, we've talked about Robert Fisher episodes months back about how there were prosecutorial misconduct by the DA's office, inappropriate instructions by the judge that would cause, you know, somebody to have the opportunity to go back into court and have their case retried, right? So among those things, you talked about juvenile lifers, and you want to introduce your guy?
Yeah.
Because I think this is probably the first time that we had an impact in a case like that.
Yes.
And, you know what I mean? And you a superstar, you're the rock star in the post-conviction world. So I'm gonna let you introduce your guy.
Yes. I have someone that's very, very special. And it's crazy because you would think that me and Gregory knew each other for a long period of time. But the crazy thing is, we met each other through his time of incarceration. And it was from internal, and someone that a loved one of mine that's incarcerated. He was a close friend of his inside. So I guess inside, when you are in your stages of your incarceration, you become a little team or family. You get to know the person because you're inside with them every day, like, so you build a relationship. And so my cousin that introduced me to Gregory, that is serving a 20 to 40 year sentence right now, let Gregory know what we were doing, and Gregory was very passionate when I first spoke to him. And when he called, he was a lifer. Gregory been incarcerated since he was 19 years old. He was incarcerated with 3 other gentlemen on a robbery that went bad, and he was sentenced to life imprisonment, along with his other two of his other co-defendants. So, in years ago, a law passed in Pennsylvania where juveniles no longer get life. So what happened was, in that situation, he was 19 at the time, and his co-defendants were, I believe, 16 to 17 years old. So they were eligible to come home on juvenile life being overturned for the 16 to 17-year-old. And Gregory was told that he was never able to come home because he was too old. He was over the mark of 18 years old. Right. So he was going to have to continue to spend the rest of his life in prison. But we know that we serve a high God. And I told Gregory when I first spoke to him, and he told me what they told him, I said, don't even worry about that, because you believe in God, and you just need to go to your papers, and you just need to find some, like you just said, some new evidence that can help you to overturn your case. And that's what Gregory started to do. He was able to attain an attorney on a post-conviction side that was, willing to take his case. And he went hard. He kind of navigated his own case with just me, little old me on the side, just helping him along. But he navigated his own situation. And through prayers and grace of God, he became eligible. And the phone call I got one night was, I'm coming home. And I said to him, you're playing. And he said, no, I'm serious. After 29 years, I'm coming home. And that was a blessing. And his family, and for 29 years, when it picked him up at that gate. And well, before they got picked him up from the gate, me and Mr. Lee was able to witness. He can only have 2 people at his hearing for him to turn back his life. And that was in Philadelphia. And I was one of the 2 that I was honored to be able to be asked to come and sit in that resentencing. And it was very emotional, because someone that you was told that they would have life, LIFE, and never come home a day in their life. After 29 years, they're told, oh, you're going home due to some new evidence. Right. And I have to also give a shout out to his 2 co-Ds, because they were pushing for Gregory. And they also we went to change.org, and they really, really pushed for him to come home. Because in this whole ordeal, Gregory had the least hands in it, even though he was part of it. Right. So I just want to introduce everyone to a good friend of mine now, a special friend of mine, a powerful man, Gregory Womack.
Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Yes,
how are you?
Thank you.
How does it feel to hear someone talk about you like that?
Emotional. If you can see my eyes, tears came to my eyes just remembering all of that stuff. And as she spoke, the emotion of everything just flooded my heart, and going through it, through her words, just reminded me of everything. And it definitely is a blessing, to be here for sure.
Right. And can you give us a little background as to any details of the specifics? Because we mentioned new evidence, we mentioned the laws changing, mentioned the fact that you were older. So what about your case won you your freedom?
With me, it was when the laws changed. Philadelphia had gotten a new DA, Krasner, right? And so he was going about things differently. So when the laws changed and my co-defendants came home, which Tara didn't mention, was the co-defendants that went home were the actual perpetrators of the crime. I was located 4 blocks away. So when they went home, I started writing and asking, like, how is this fair? How is this fair that I have to serve the rest of my life being 4 blocks away, and the person who did it gets to go home and be with his family? And that letter must have got to some people. And the DA actually reached out and tried to help me get home. And so they started opening the files at that time. I don't know if you guys know what a H file is, which it means a homicide file. I was able to go through and find newly discovered evidence of injustice that was perpetrated upon me going through trial. And in Philadelphia, from like all the way up to 2010, with the old district attorneys, there was corruption. There was corruption all the way through. They could have you convicted, they could have you guilty as can be, but they still would cut a corner and do something illegal. And so in going through my files, I found evidence that the DA at the time didn't turn over to my judge, to my lawyer and my co-defendant's lawyer. And so we were able to use that evidence to appeal PCRA, Post-Conviction Relief Act. And the DA agreed that it was egregious enough that I should be let go and come home. And that's where Taria picks up where I was talking to her. And the thing about her that goes unspoken is she doesn't ask for anything. She didn't ask for anything. And that's what really touched me. I'm fighting for my life, and family members, weren't there. Family members didn't step in to help. And I told them what was going on. They could see what was going on because the guys came back to our community. And for her to come into my life at that moment, I know it was God, because she gave me hope. There was times where I was like, man, I have nothing. I couldn't do anything. I'm fighting, I'm writing. But she said, keep fighting. And she said, you know what? I'm going to help you. And she went into my files, read everything, started calling people, and really helped encourage me to keep digging in and keep going and keep persevering. And then one day, I'm here. So praise God for that.
Yes, amen. And I want to say, I don't even think it was a year from the time that y'all first met to the time you met in person and came home. I don't think it was a year.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
You know what I mean? So we praying on that. We praying that that's the same outcome and the same interactions that we have when we start touching other people in similar situations. And I want to say, before we introduce one of your partners, that and Taria mentioned it, was the word of mouth referral. It was somebody on the inside that said, hey, there's some people on the outside that can help you. And that's part of the reason why we're here tonight, is because now I'm in touch with somebody that's on the inside that's telling other people, and now we need a squad, right? Because now we got at least a half a dozen people on the inside that are needing the help that you got from Taria. And so before we get into that, do you want to introduce your partner and bring him on so that we can hear about what you all are doing, and so we can project and see where we're going, what we need to do, bring other folks on, that can help, that have the knowledge and experience in different areas of post-conviction. But bring on Mr. LaFay for me.
Me and it's a unique thing, like the way God intertwined. We just talked about how me and Taria met through her family member. Me and LaFay were in the same prison for over 20 years, and we became friends. And we started talking about our post-conviction and going home and, working out and just talking about our future together. And what we didn't know was both of our sisters were best friends on the outside. And they had no idea that me and him knew each other. And so we would come together every week. We would talk about our freedom. Every week we would project what we were going to do, how we were going home. And we encouraged each other. And we said, we made a pact. Whoever goes home first is going to reach back and help the other one. You know, because as Taria mentioned, Louis Lee, who's not here right now, that's what he did for me. He reached back and helped me. And so we made a pact, and I was the one fortunate enough to come home first. So me and LaFay stayed in touch, and we encouraged each other. And we would talk in the law library because LaFay was good with legal work. You know, he was over there. He was helping all types of individuals, and we both did. Mine was more in mentoring. LaFay's was with the legal aspect of it. And like our willingness to help someone else, it went beyond measure. And LaFay's a guy who gives from his heart. And I know he's going to give his heart to this organization to help all the people he can. Since he's been home, he's been helping people. We've been down to court. I go to court every week and try to be there for everybody. So without any further conversation, LaFay served, I believe, 33 years. And he's coming to us now to speak for himself. LaFay Gaskins.
All right,
Welcome, brother.
All right.
How's it feel? Well, the smile tells it all, but how's it feel to hear somebody talk about you like that?
Great.
Yes.
I did actually 34 years.
Yeah.
And trying to prove my innocence.
Right.
With me, my situation is totally different than his. With me, a new law helped me as well. And the new law that helped me was expert testimony. And what that is I can have someone to review my case, and that person would tell whether I'm innocent or guilty of a crime. Was the statements that was made against me were factual or false? Okay, in my situation, one witness recant her statement that identified me as the perpetrator who killed this man. Later on, to come to find out, after the expert witness review everything, it was impossible for her to give a positive identification of me. Fortunately enough, as time went on, I did what he did. I wrote lawyers, judges, even ex-DAs, every organization to help me get out with her recantation. Fortunate enough, the Innocent Project took my case. Innocent Project helped me get home. However, how corrupt the system is, I went to court. The witness testified, saying that the cops forced her to testify against me. And they paid her to come to court.
Wow.
Okay, that was in April. May, I went to court again to give my testimony of what I did and how I got to the point where I'm at today. June, they filed a brief to submit to the judge before he give his decision. They lost April's testimony.
Wow.
They lost it. So now, the Innocent Project said, hey, we got some bad news, we got some good news. I told them, give me the bad news. The bad news is that they lost all the testimony for the month of April. My stuff was lost in it. Now, that was the testimony of the woman recanting a statement saying the police paid her to come to court and testify against me. The good news is they say they was able to negotiate with the district attorney office. I told them, any negotiation agreement, you talk to my mother. Don't, I'm already mad. I know she's going to be mad. Talk to her. Wherever she say it is, that's what it's going to be. So we end up coming to a agreement of me having to be sentenced to me taking a guilty plea to 16 to 35 years in prison. So that meant I had to spend 3 more months in prison before I'll be maxed out. Fortunately enough, the judge was like, no, we're not going to let him sit. You're going to go back. You're going to get all the paperwork together and you're going to come home.
Right.
But we're going to put you on 1 year probation as an evaluation.
Okay.
Adjusting to society. So June, I will be done with the court system.
Amen.
And one thing you forgetting, Lafay, to let them know that in that deal, they also told him that he couldn't sue.
Yeah.
I was going to ask because Gregory, I'm not sure. I don't know all the details of your case. Are you on a lifetime of parole?
No. That was the blessing. I'll be off parole.
Oh, okay, good.
Within the next few. Well, I didn't even have parole. I maxed my state sentence out, and like him, they gave me probation, but the judge classified it as a monetary thing where it just was helping me to readjust to society. And that's what it has been. I will admit that I've never taken a urine. I've never paid any fees, anything like that. I go in, he asks me how I'm doing, how I'm adjusting. I tell him, we talk 10, 15 minutes, I'm out the door.
Okay.
So it has been what she said, and she has agreed to terminate it early. It's just that the courts are so backed up, it's taking longer than they expected.
Right. You'll be done by the time get around to it.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, and the Innocent Project has been supporting me into making sure I make the transition of being okay.
Right.
I've been seeing.
When did you come home?
Excuse me?
When did you come home?
June 9th.
Of this year?
Of this year. I've been home 100 and something days.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So
well look at you. You're not on a Zoom, you're on a StreamYard, you're on a podcast. Okay. I'll say you adjusted.
Well, Greg been mentoring me very well to the do's and don'ts.
Okay.
And part of my adjustment is I've been moving real slow. And I've been moving slow purposely so I can understand what I'm getting myself into.
Right.
And how to navigate around. And most of my time is just understanding that I'm free.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And, most of the guys that I interact haven't been down as long as I have. So my adjustment is more different than theirs.
Right. And they've been home a little longer too. So they you in kindergarten.
Yeah.
you in the old heads now. The old heads is schooling you.
Yeah,
but you have the wisdom to know that you need to listen. You know what I mean? When you're young, we don't listen to that wisdom. You know what I mean? But that wisdom that's around you, you recognize now that's golden and it is what it should be. And you said something because the law is different with what brought you home. And we can have 3 or 4 shows about each of y'all's situation, your case and the adjustment and everything. And we'll do that because I want to talk about this particular case and I'm going to bring you guys on it off of the podcast as well, because we're talking about Tyree Wallace. And Tyree Wallace is a wrongfully convicted brother who has been down 26 years. Again, so with that expert testimony, in all the conversations that I've had with him, I haven't heard that mentioned. And
excuse me, to get more information about the expert testimony that just came down in 2014, don't quote me on the date. Commonwealth versus Benjamin Walker. Do not look. You can look at Commonwealth versus Fry because that's the one that initially started. But Commonwealth versus Walker is the case that Pennsylvania Supreme Court used for expert testimony now in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, because folks, the CI, the witnesses, they all recanted. Even the perpetrators of the crime said they did not know him and he did not have any part in the crime. And so that's really interesting. And when we talk about Gregory and the time that he met Taria and the time that we got home, we're talking about, I met Tyree Wallace in June. Okay. And if we get him home by the end of the year, I don't know if I got you beat, Taria, but we gonna see. We gonna put some money on that. Be like, this energy is good. He's bringing brothers home like that from the minute we get in contact. You know what I mean? You know, within a year, we're bringing brothers home and sisters. Like this is not just a manhood thing. We looking for our sisters that is incarcerated, that we need to get home to their children and you know what I mean, their husbands and brothers and all of that. So it's not just a man thing. Great. You know what I mean? But we looking at freedom for our folks. And so we bring these brothers on together. Do we have Lewis? Do we want to see a picture of Lewis and a picture of these three guys together? That's Lewis Lee. And do we have the pic? There we go. So that's Lewis Lee, Gregory, and LaFay. And they got their organization, Building Blocks. And we bring them together. We're bringing them into the fold because with my interaction with Tyree Wallace, Taria's interaction with folks on the inside, we now have about a half a dozen brothers that are looking for support. And that's just with our team. You know what I mean? Like you said, there's the Innocence Project and there's all these other, justice workers, movement workers that are really looking to, you know what I mean, impact and interrupt the criminal legal system and the corruption that was going on and still going on today, right? Yes. Gregory, when I talked to you, you talked about there was a rally downtown. You know, they dropped all the charges against Dial, whatever his name is, you know, for the murder of Eric Israeri. I can't say his name right either. But that, you know what I mean? That's like crazy. And here we got an innocent man and a young man that was, you know, not directly involved in the crime that did decades. And here they are letting this man, this murderer, walk free in 30 days. Mm-hmm. Remember, they were trying to make you do an extra 3 months because of technicality and all that stuff, right? Procedure. Mm-hmm. And that's another reason why Tyree Wallace is still sitting, is because of procedure. And so it's like, how did they get that procedure so quick? Because they started, and I'm ranting because I'm going off topic, but it happened today. And so he was charged. They reduced his bail. They increased his charges, and then they dismissed the case, all in like 30 days.
Well, the question
that's unheard of.
Excuse me. The question should be, one, if the roles was the other way around, would that have happened? The answer is no.
Absolutely
not. Two, the guy was no threat to the cop at all because he had the window rolled up. The other thing that everybody got to pay attention to, and everybody's not mentioning it, he gave a false statement when he gave his report. His report is supposed to be his word. And that's mostly what people get locked up for. When a cop writes a report on his 48 and 49, those are the things that gets all of us in jail. Right. So if he lied on that, what makes you think he's telling the truth now? Mm-hmm. And to add to what you just said, get Tyreek to look up some things about recantation. Recantation is not a reliable fact to get your sentence overturned. That's why Pennsylvania is starting to allow expert witnesses to testify. So that's very important. Recantation don't always get your sentence overturned.
I wanted to add to what you were saying about Tyree and our situations. And it's a crucial thing that most of us on the outside don't understand, because we hear that our loved ones on the inside have representation. They have court-appointed attorneys. Mm-hmm. Court-appointed attorneys are not bringing people home. Right. They're not bringing people home at all. You have to have a paid attorney. In Philadelphia especially, you have to have a paid attorney who has connections. I have a friend, like you said, Tyree Wilder. I don't know if he has a court-appointed or if he has a paid attorney.
He has Keir Bradford Gray.
Okay. Does she have connections in the DA's office to get all of his files and everything?
Yes.
Okay, and that's
they're very close to him coming home. So,
okay,
but
that's what it does.
they're very close. But I think that would be another thing to kind of explore because it's happened, and actually they're working on getting the affidavit from the perpetrator that he is now, because he was. I mean, there's some stuff. You know what I mean? The Innocence Project and the Philly Defenders Association have been protecting this person, because if he runs the risk of perjury, because when he had to go before the parole board, he had to admit who, what, where, why, and how, right? And so in that statement, he lied.
But nobody has ever been charged with perjury in the last 50 years.
Well, in Philadelphia, Taria laughing because we got somebody that got convicted of perjury here in Montgomery County.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about Philadelphia.
Yeah. Crazy things. Exactly. You know what I mean? And like I said, we can start peeling this onion. We all gonna be crying because this Joker is a mess.
Yeah.
And so I'm thankful for all the wisdom in the space, because we have 2, 3, 4 phenomenal folks that are going to be working on these cases. We're going to start meeting and organizing around what we can do, figure out how do we disseminate the work and where do we go. Like, we're going to figure all of that out. But in the meantime, like I said, the rally is on Friday. We're going to watch a little snippet of, so part of this public push and pressure when Gregory asked is Keir connected? She's been talking with Krasner. She's been talking with Governor Shapiro now that he's the governor. So he has assembled a team. I would call them the Dahomies now. He's assembled a team of these Black women that are really going hard. And this podcast by Julian Dorey is a 3-hour podcast with Keir Bradford Gray and David Perry, who is part of his legal team, that have been fighting to get all of this information. And I think this clip that we're going to show really just speaks to Tyree's character. And I think you all will feel it from, talking with us on the outside, those 15-minute phone calls. And, we hang up, and not me, because I feel it, but the other folks, they hang up and they can go on about their day. And you all know when you hang up what happens to you. So I think that's what this clip is going to highlight a little bit about Tyree and his and I'm going to bring y'all back if y'all want to stick around. I know we talked about moving on, but I think if y'all want to continue this conversation, I'm down to continue having this conversation. So we're going to see this little commercial right quick, and then we'll be back. If Zach is paying attention. See, I be doing my part. I do my part. I think I be, he get mad at me. Oh, he be laughing. I be calling him out because he be like, oh, I was distracted. And he be laughing in the chat, unless I didn't look at the chat. Maybe he got something going on. Yeah. Oh, stall. Uh-oh. That's okay. All right. They working it out on the back end. So let's talk about that. What does the post-conviction forum look like? Or what do you want to talk about your program? Because are you doing it? Are you just doing mentoring? I don't want to say just. Are you doing mentoring for folks that are on the outside? What are you doing? Because Gregory, you talked about reaching back and the pact that you made. I don't know if you made the pact with just the two of y'all, or is there still folks that are on the inside that we're working towards, or that we need to add to this list to, work on getting home?
For me, for all of us, me, Lafayette, and Lewis, anytime someone calls and has a hearing, I guess Taria passed it off to me. I'm in the courtroom. I've been in the courtroom 2 times this week, 2 times last week, for all my guys that coming down on PCRAs, getting evidentiary hearings. And so the world has changed since we went in, and the word family doesn't have the same power that it once had. So when guys are coming up to go to court, the people are not in there being present. So we've become their family, and we go to court and we sit in the courtroom, and Judge DeClaudio, he sees my face at least 2 times a week because he has most of the homicide PCRAs.
Okay.
And when I'm in there, I speak my mind. I raise my hand. I ask, can I, last week I just asked him, can he let my buddy go? Because right before that case, he let somebody else go.
Right. Hey, you're nothing needs to failure but to try.
Since you're in a good mood, why don't you let him go?
Right.
It's like, well, there's a difference between the first degree and a misdemeanor. I said, I understand. But yeah, we're in the courtroom every time someone calls that we know. And even if we don't know them and they're fighting the homicide, they're trying to come home, we're in there, we're supporting, we reach back through, we send money when we can, we send pictures, and we try to be there because we know what it feels like. We know what it feels like. So our organization, Building Blocks, for me, is the title of Blocks is building lives on commitment and services. And so we're building lives through like mentoring also. And I'm starting a business now where I'll be able to hire and employ guys who come home to work for us and to make an income where we know what it feels like Faye can attest to it, coming home and having to ask people for money or having to wait on other people to give you something. As a man, it's demeaning. As a man, is not what you want to do. And we understand why so many people go back to what they used to do because things are tight now. Gas is $4 or $5 a gallon.
Right.
So people don't have it to give you. So we are trying to create avenues that guys and women coming home can come to us, can have employment until they're ready to move on. Employment where they're paid at least $20 an hour or something like that to get started. So that's what we're in the process of doing right now. And, Lord willing, it'll be up within the next couple months and we'll be able to help guys. So we reach back in all different ways.
That's wonderful.
I'm going to add to what he just said. One of the biggest things that we tries to do when we out here is to help guys and give them the inspiration that they need to survive in there.
Right.
Because most people hear about us going home. They hear a lot of people that go home but don't never reach back. And reaching back don't mean to save everyone because we can't save everyone. We can't help it. Only thing that I'm trying to do is put myself in a position to help as many guys that I possibly can. I'm doing it now by doing the little things. The big things don't matter. The little things that help them stimulate their mind that they have someone that can support them.
Right.
One of the biggest things that I'm grateful for, and as y'all sisters sit here, is that we don't have a lot of men doing the supporting. It's a lot of women.
Right.
I only been out here 100 days. And the way I look at things is totally different than what Greg look at him or Louis Lee look at him. When I was growing up, the men stood up and said and did what needs to be done. However, we got a lot of women that are stepping up, but also being abused to step up for certain men. I'm gonna say so-called men.
Right.
Let me say that. And once the women, the aunts, the grandmothers, the mothers do what they need to do to get you home, you go back and do the same thing. And now you want everybody else to get back together to help you get out of the situation. That needs to stop as well.
Right.
Because every time something occurs, our women, mainly black women, there's no consequences for your nephew, your husband, your niece, your nephew, your boyfriend. There's no consequences. So he is going to continue doing the things that he do. But for you, as a black woman, and as the way I look at it, far as you're my sister, my mother, there should be a consequences for that man, that so-called man, to go back to jail. And if that means that you have to cut your nephew off or cut your son off, then that should be done. Because that was one of the things that my mom stressed to me. My life was on hold for 34 years, 35 years. You take your ass back to jail, you're going to be left there.
Right. That's real talk.
And that needs to be a message to all these men that's coming home. But we can't make excuses. And the sisters can't make excuses for them. Because we got too many sisters out here that's being the man and the woman.
Mm-hmm.
So that also needs to be addressed as well.
That's powerful, LaFay. And we're gonna make a clip of that because we're gonna have to keep replaying that. We're gonna keep replaying that. So let me see. The timestamp 40. You realize we've been doing this for 40 minutes. Does it feel like 40 minutes?
No, time flies.
It does. Like I said, we be having a good time just busting it up and learning and growing. Like that is real wisdom. You know what I mean? And like I said, we now are older and we appreciate the wisdom that's being shared. And so we're gonna be in touch because Tyree gonna come home sooner than later. And so we're gonna see a little clip. I think our behind the scenes guys are ready. So we're gonna cue up the rally, and I think we'll just talk about the rally because we're gonna finish this out and we'll talk about Christine later.
I've talked to him now about 10 times, I want to say. So I've talked to him on Zoom, I've talked to him on the phone, and I now recognize the number, the 484 when it comes through, and I know what it is now. And you know, it's hard to explain, but I get like this weird sensation because then I hop on with him. We have a great 15-minute call, and then I hang up, and just like you said, Dave, I go about my day after that. But there's this like feeling I get where it puts my life in perspective a bit, because I realize like how much he values having 15 minutes to talk with me. I mean, the guy fucking thanks me for saying the sky was up. You know what I mean? Like he's just the nicest person ever. And I'm like, Tyree, you don't have to do that. Like, you know, but he's an intelligent dude who has so many thoughts about the other people who are in there. Like he's not just worried about his own case. He's constantly talking to me about the things he's doing for the other guys. That's probably been 75% of the conversations I've had with him. And to keep that type of a positive attitude, as you just said, Dave, is remarkable. I mean, it's just remarkable.
So that's a little bit about Tyree. And, you know, that was Keir Bradford Gray, who is his attorney, who is in a race for AG, if I'm allowed to say that. It's a fact. I'm not saying that we promoting it, but, you know, she's running for attorney general. I think there's two men that are in the race as well. And David Perry is the other gentleman who is not a criminal attorney. That's the amazing thing, is like, he's like intellectual property attorney. And in his spare time, he supports Keir, he supports Tyree, like he does whatever he can do to help this case and help, you know, the word get out and all of that. And so, so what he did say, so Tyree has started multiple businesses. So I'm sure this is stuff that you hear, know that people have done on the inside. You know, they're starting businesses on the outside. They're supporting people on the outside. And he's started multiple businesses on the outside, nonprofits and social services. He's done mentoring and things like that on the inside. He's doing some programming, writing programs for mentoring and things like that, creating policy and procedures for the DOC, right? And so he started, because I'll tell you how I got connected to Tyree. So he started an organization called SRC, which is Systemic Reformative Change. And it's a 501c4 that's allowed them to do political advocacy. So that's going to be an engine for policy change and lobbying and you know, getting elected officials into office, right? People that look like us, that represent us, and can broaden the spectrum of changing antiquated laws, right? And so with doing that, that's how I met him, through SRC. They wanted to do some things in Norristown, and So I started helping him do some programming on the outside. I hadn't met him officially till probably like June, when I hopped on a Zoom call, or a phone call or whatever, and started talking. And then just my naturally an organizer, they started talking about a rally and started talking about this podcast, and how this podcast is, that's a 3-hour podcast. So they talked for 3 hours about his case, went through the whole thing. So check that out on YouTube, Julian Dory. It's on Instagram and his social media platforms. But to take advantage of the push with the podcast, we said, let's put the public pressure on in Philadelphia with a rally. And so that rally is going to be on this Friday, at City Hall in Philadelphia at 1:00, rain or shine, because this hurricane's in the way, but we're going to be out there because, nothing's going to stop us from moving forward with this rally. We have some powerful speakers that are going to be there. So please, brothers, if you can make it, get out there. Tyree, his network is just extensive, where he's got like professors from Rutgers, professors from Villanova, professors from Temple, like all these folks that are just appalled at Lafayette, you said about the recantation and stuff like that. Like, he literally, the one of the witnesses literally asked the bailiff what the consequence was for perjury right there during the trial, and they still convicted him. You know what I mean? And it's 26 years later. You know what I mean? So it's not like it was just like, oh, okay, well, let's go back. No, 26 years later, they haven't even heard it. Like, it's crazy. It's just crazy, this stuff. And so we'll be pushing for Tyree this Saturday or Friday, I'm sorry. And then that night, so with SRC, so SRC also has a youth component, because he really is focusing on the youth to get them civically engaged, youth impacted by the system, getting them engaged to voting and understanding how important our voting rights are, because you both can vote. I hope you're registered to vote. And so that we can start engaging in this process of getting the right people in, the wrong people out, including those judges, those DAs. I mean, Krasner, they want to get rid of Krasner because they think that the gun violence is because he's soft. No, the gun violence is not because he's soft. The gun violence has to do with social media and economics and all these other things. It has nothing to do with Larry Krasner. Right. And that's a whole topic for another show. But, you know what I mean? That there's a whole lot of things. And you're laughing, LaFay. What you laughing at?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I'm laughing because when Lynn Abraham was in there, everybody was whining about she putting everybody in jail. And she campaigned to say that she putting everybody in jail. Here go a guy that said he campaigning for what needs to be done. And people complaining that he's doing the right thing. So
right,
and it's mainly us,
right?
It's mainly us, and for me, I've read Krasner's book from front back. I really like this dude. I like this dude because he's straight up, and he actually for the people,
right?
But one of the things is this. When we got a bunch of people, mainly us, and I'm saying us, because when South Philly, something happened in South Philly, those of us that's familiar with South Philly, woman get hit by a car, find out that she's a captain's daughter, put a reward out. 3 days later, they find who this dude is, lock him up. Somebody get hit down Germantown, North Philly, West Philly.
Boulevard.
You don't hear nothing about it. It's mentioned on the news, but there's no arrest being done. So, one of the things that I try to understand is that Larry Krasner is a good thing for us. We just don't see it right now.
Right.
Because in my book, Larry Krasner should stay in another 4 years. And the reason being that he should stay in for another 4 years, because those judges that's in there now is going to start retiring.
Right.
And the lawyers that's part of Krasner thinking, they become judges. So all the Lynn Abrahams and what's his name? Rizzo,
yeah,
all
Right.
and Steph Williams, all of them will be out of there. So then you have all the judges that think like Larry Krasner.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
If I can add to that,
yes.
Please.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that. You were talking about voting, and the way Krasner got elected should be a format for all elections coming up, because he went to the prisons. He went to Graterford. He went to Camp Hill. He went to the prisons and secured a block of votes, because I remember calling home, vote for Krasner.
Right.
Vote for Krasner. This man is talking about letting us go. And our families listened to that. People who didn't vote went out and voted. You know, just like when we voted and got Obama in.
Right.
Voting means a lot. And one thing I think that we're missing is the youth. Yesterday, I looked at TikTok and I seen over 500 bikes parked on the Vine Street Expressway stopping traffic. And when I talked to some young people, they said that came about from a tweet or text, whatever they use. They just meet up here at this time. And over 500 young people showed up. And I was looking at that and saying, if they can do that for just to ride dirt bikes, why can't we learn how to do that to get voting blocked? Why can't we learn how to reach them so they can come in and realize that the lives they're touching are their own by bringing their fathers, their uncles, their mothers, their grandmothers, their grandfathers home from wrongful convictions. Right. And so I think that when we look at that, like Lafay is saying, our people need to be educated on what the process really is to change laws, to change rules. Because people like you, like you said, they're mostly Black women are standing in the forefront of these situations, but their families are not standing behind them. And when we stand as one, we need to represent something and have people behind us, our communities and things like that. And that's what men like us who are coming home are trying to do, to make these connections with organizations like yours, all the other organizations fighting for criminal justice. If we come together as one and form that strong block of voting, then these people running for office and elected officials will come to us and they'll have to either compromise in their stance or adapt our stance in order to get our votes. And that's what's going to bring change.
That's right.
You know, us standing by ourselves, like they said, man, a finger by itself is not strong, but a hand together is where the power comes from. And we have to come together as a people and as organizations, because we all want the same thing. We want change. But you howling on this corner, him howling on that corner is not bringing it right now. We got to come together and stand together. And in those voting blocks, vote for the same people that'll bring about this change. And Krasner is one. And Lafay, you said 4 years. He need to be in there till he die. I'm real. I met Krasner, 30 years. And I told you, man.
He gonna get a life sentence.
I told you. Exactly. Abraham gave out life sentences. Krasner, you got one.
He got one
because he was the reason that I came home. Yeah, exactly. And they're gonna pay you, so you ain't missing nothing.
Right.
And
so,
I just wanted
to say,
I just wanted to say real fast that just piggybacking off of what Lafay and Gregory said, you know, about the situation about, like you said, bringing in the more Krasners and things like that. And that's what, you know, that's one thing about, to me, that inspires with Philadelphia is that, you know, Philadelphia courthouse is actually law and order. And when we come to Montgomery County courthouse, it comes to like, you know, gives me the adapt of get out. And that's a slavery kind of a tactic. And if we could have a Krasner here on the top dog and replace the Kevin Steele that we have here and replace him with a Krasner, you know, I think that a lot of more justice will happen in Montgomery County fairly and right if we get the right person at top that understands that this is for rehabilitation. This is for second chances. This is for, you know, loopholes and things like that. But when you got people that make the law to break the law here and give you unlegal sentences and things like that, and nobody stands a test to it because, like you said, we're ignorant to our own understanding. And when we understand to learn and stop trying to be crabs in a barrel and bite each other's back out, and we learn that we stand and think we know it all, and they'd rather listen to the man with the 8 and 10-year degree that's getting $40,000 and $50,000 from their ancestors, and taking them broke to go in there to get the same thing that somebody on the outside that didn't even do a day in law school can go to a law library, look up, and help them to re-raise their cases. But it all just comes down to education, learning, and stop being ignorant. And like you said, if we can have that here in Montgomery County, we will see a lot more impact too. But Bill Cosby bought the forefront, and I think since Bill Cosby, it's been a little shaken up, and we're going to just keep on fighting. You know what I mean? That's why we do what we do, and trust and believe me, we turn heads up in that courtroom, and they starting to see us, and trust and believe me, people are getting a little bit more fair justice.
Yeah. One of the things I want to add to what you just said, one of the biggest things that most of those people that's in that position, I believe some of them wants to change, but none of them want to attach their name to an individual, because if that individual messed up, it would kill their career.
Right.
That is the biggest thing that most of them look at. Absolutely. They don't want their name, Mudman. The dude Sean Thomas, for example. This guy was exonerated, sued, and went back out and killed someone again.
Right.
So now, what that says, the district attorney petitioned the court. No, the court petitioned to the courthouses and tell them that now we're going to have to reevaluate everyone that's being released because of what that one guy did.
Right.
So whoever was that district attorney or judge that let him go, now they're getting backlash. So when I get backlash, like you just said about slavery, now everybody's suffering.
Yeah. That's
a psychologically abuse to everyone. One messed up, everybody's going to pay for it.
Yep.
And I think one of the biggest things that we have to do as a people, that all of us is not on the same path to change. It's going to be some of us that's going to mess up. And it's going to be a lot of us that do good.
Right.
But that one mess up really mess up for everybody else.
Right. Thank you for that. And so I was on my best behavior tonight because I think I had guests, because I ain't really cuss too much, because I usually be cussing, like I said. Because this work take you there, right? I mean, the stuff is just crazy. And so we do have a segment, because like I'm getting, eyes on me like, oh, counting down. And so we do have a segment. LaFay, you didn't see the guest form. Gary, you did, or Gregory, you did. And so we have a segment called What the Fuck. And so that is, just a thing. It could be something positive. You'd be like, what the fuck? I've been home 100 days. Like, that's some good shit, right? Or it could be something that makes you scratch your head, blow your, make you want to go crawl underneath the bed. You know what I mean? So we'll start with you, LaFay, because you laughing, so you're going to have a good time. So you have a what the fuck moment for us as we close out?
Not at this moment. Because I try my best not to curse.
Well, you don't have to say the F-bomb.
Yeah, but
all right, I'll let you ride. I'll let you live. Gregory,
I'll do it next time.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. So that means there's gonna be a next time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Now, you on the spot now.
For me, all right, mine is I went on my honeymoon. For those who don't know, I came home, I got married, and I went to thank you, Nassau, Bahamas, Grand Turks and Caicos. And I went to the back of the boat because we went on a cruise. And when I got to the back of the boat, I looked at the water, and it was a what the F moment, because I saw no land. It was nothing but water around me. And I thought about 29 years living in a bathroom with another human being, to being where I'm at right now, that I can just go in any direction and never, not come in contact with anything, let alone another person. And that was a what the F moment for me, because it was like, it's real, I'm here.
That's beautiful. And so Taria, if you got a what the fuck moment, I'm gonna let you share it. But if Zach, if you can pull up Gregory's profile pic that he shared, because I want him to explain what that meant, because we were laughing because like, well, we can't see your face. Like, how people gonna know? Like, what is this? And then there's a reason. And it was so profound. I was like, all right, we're gonna go with it, but you're gonna have to talk about it. And so if you would please explain that picture. It kind of speaks to what you just shared, but explain that.
Yeah, that picture there is something that close to every man or woman that comes home after serving a lot of time wants to do. We want to put our feet in the ocean, because to us, the ocean represents freedom. The ocean is unrestricted. It goes around the world, and sticking our feet in that water, we think about how many continents, how many countries are touched by this water. And now at this moment, after being in a bathroom, I'm standing in water that came over from, let's say, Russia, that came over from Africa, that came from South America, and it represents freedom for us. The waves coming in, you got to realize we weren't even able to take a bath for close to over 3 decades, me close to 3 decades. So to be present in limitless water in a situation like that, it brought tears to my eyes. And that's why my back is turned in that picture and my hands are in my pocket, because my mind is just adjusting. And that's my first what the F moment. That was the first one I had, just standing in the border. And it came about so organically. We were at my house talking, and like 9-10 o'clock, I just said, yo, I want to go to Atlantic City. And everybody in the house was like, all right, let's go. And we jumped in the car, and that's all I wanted to do was put my feet in the water. And the funny part about it, and I say so many of us have done it, is LaFay got pictures when he did it too. And I didn't tell him about it. It's just something that we feel and count as being free. I'm on the beach, touching the ocean again.
That's beautiful. And that resonated with me so deeply. That's why I was like, all right, we're gonna go with it.
I got one for you. I got one for you.
Oh.
I went to Fairmount Park on my third day, and it's a balcony that sit where everyone that gets a wedding in that particular area. I don't remember where is it at, but I'm sitting on the balcony just looking over everybody enjoying themselves. And my what the F moment was, why would a man want to go back to prison to miss all this? And my biggest thing is that we have so many beautiful Black women that want men, not so-called men.
Yes.
That want men. And I'm like, I miss all this. And I've been in prison longer than I've been out with my mother. I've been in prison longer than I've been with my mother. So my freedom and looking over that balcony and saying, what the F?
That's beautiful. That is, I love y'all. I love y'all for sharing. I love the wisdom that you share. And I always say, like, when I speak to men that have served a significant time incarcerated, is just something special about y'all. Like you're able to articulate. You get away. You get rid of all the bullshit, right? Like, you can go straight to the point. You can say what you mean. Like, the vulnerability is there because, like, you've seen the worst, like, of the worst. So like you said, going back to jail, that's worse. You sharing your feelings or speaking your mind or pulling a brother's coat. You know what I mean? There's beauty in that. You know what I mean?
The thing about that is I'm still a virgin. If you want to look at it that way.
Right.
So when you're a virgin, you're constantly learning. You're constantly taking things in.
Right.
And as you get more experience, you're able to do things that normally people wouldn't recognize.
Right.
If that makes sense.
It does.
The other part of it is the way we see the world. With what you just said, we don't see the fears that other people have because of where I just came from. For those that don't know, well, probably nobody, for my birthday, I jumped out of an airplane, came through the clouds. And that was another what the F moment. Just falling.
I ain't doing that.
I'm with you, LaFay. I'm not doing it either.
No,
not at all.
I told myself when I came home, I'm not living in fear of anything anymore. And so that's not just physical things, it's also mental fear.
Right.
I don't fear being vulnerable because I know who I am as a man. I know who I am as a person. I don't fear saying I'm sorry because I understand we all make mistakes. Right. And coming from my situation, I know what it feels like to pay the consequence of a mistake, a choice that you made, a bad decision.
Right.
So at this moment, me sharing my vulnerability, if it helps someone not to go through what I went through, if it helps someone to encourage someone in the situation I just went through, I count it all as positive. I read a book and it's by Viktor Frankl. It's called Man's Search for Meaning. And in the book, he says, suffering ceases to be suffering when it finds a meaning. And I held on to that. And to me, it means when you find a purpose, when you find a destination for what you're going through, then it becomes a learning lesson to reach that destination. And it's not painful anymore. It gives me strength. It gives me energy. It takes away the bad and replaces it with good. So coming out here, sharing and being vulnerable, it means nothing to me because I don't live with fear. I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. And at this point, anybody who don't accept it or who find fault in it, God bless you. Anyone who wants to grow from it and learn it, I'm here to help. So that's how I live. And that's why we're able to be vulnerable because of what we went through. That was the hardest thing that we'll ever face in life. This out here, learning how to live is a challenge. It's not easy.
Right.
But it's a challenge that we gladly accept and we go face head on into. We use our wisdom, we use patience, but we understand, like Faye said, as being a virgin, we have to grow. We have to learn what this world's about. The world that we left is not out here today.
No, it's not.
It's not here today. The respect, when I made a comment earlier about the word family doesn't have the same meaning, that was earth shattering. That was a culture shock. To see family members. Man, what is that? But these are things that we're growing and we're learning each and every day. And that's why we're so close with each other, because the days when I'm ready to cry, I can call Lafe and say, yo, I just went through this. And he's there for me. And the days he doesn't understand things, he'll call me. And so we're each other's crutch, as the Bible says, so
I love it. I know it's probably your crew calling y'all. They're like, where y'all at? I thought y'all was coming, and here I am holding y'all hostage. It just gets good like that. You know what I mean? And I really, really appreciate it. I want to give Taria time if she's got a what the fuck moment, and just thank y'all. I want to give a shout out to Abby. She's one of our hub members, and she's been rocking with us and just keeping y'all uplifted and enjoying the conversation. But Taria, you got a what the fuck moment?
Yeah, so I just my what the F moment is that almost 5 years ago, just starting with Heather and the crew with participatory defense, it just takes me to know that when I started with this hub and the powerful impact that they brought to me and my 10-year-old that got into some trouble and was looking at some serious adult charges, and just made me just stronger and growth into the last 5 years of the situation at hand. And then now just being here to be able to uplift Gregory and Gregory, you are my inspiration to how I went hard and everything I do now, because you brought the light to the end of the tunnel for me, for my vision. And I just want to thank you for that. And I definitely want to let you know that I just can't believe what the F, like, we about to just move on up, because you and Mr. Lee, and it was time, and you know, before LaFay, you know, now I call him, but at first when Gregory first came and Gregory introduced me to Mr. Lee, and I had some hard cases after that, and I would call y'all in the midnight hour, and I'm like, you know, Gregory would say, well, you know, ask Mr. Lee, and I know I was probably getting on Mr. Lee's nerves at the beginning, but Mr. Lewis Lee is real powerful, and y'all just don't understand that y'all made me, you know, the strength, even though you say that it's me that made you the strength. But to be honest, y'all made me the strength, because, you know, my loved one just got a 13 to 24 years, and it just made me be able to embrace it and go harder in that courtroom for my brother, and to know that it could have been worse, and at 30 to 60 that he could have got all of it, and us going in there and impacting to everything that Mr. Lee, Mr. Womack, and now LaFay. I call him all the time when I'm having debates and arguments with different people. I'm sitting there and I'm calling them to break down the law. So I just want to say, you know, what the F did we get ourselves into? Because people's not, they got to watch out, because we're about to really explode.
I know that's right. And you know, this is a court watch edition, right? And I mean, and it is, we got some special guests, and this is what it is, but we're almost at an hour and 15 minutes that we've been on this Zoom or this podcast, and this is the longest podcast that we've done. And you know, Zach always gets on me like, oh, well, you know, you just get talking and get the rambling, but like, it's not me. Y'all are bringing it. Like, we just here having a conversation, and you know what I mean? Because it's really good stuff and people need to hear it. That's why we do this podcast.
You know, I never hop on the show. But I had to come on just right quick. Sure. I am very okay with this being the longest episode, because you brothers are dropping some knowledge that our people need to hear. Yes. Everything from voting to just inspiration to get through stuff. Like, I'm proud of y'all. So I just wanted to pop on right quick and say that before y'all got up out of here. And I appreciate the work y'all are doing and will continue to do. And of course, you and Taria and Heather as well. Y'all all crushing it. So I just want to come on and say that. I'm leaving.
That was a first. That was a first. I thought I was in trouble. I thought he was going to yell at me. But yeah, no, brother. I mean, we definitely going to do this. LaFay, I'm going to be calling you because I need to know more about that. And so, yeah, you're going to have another one burning your ears up, you know,
but
about
listen,
this stuff.
Let me share this with y'all. I had so many different people who helped me. And you talking about a dude that sold drugs and was the arrogant, most, wherever you want to call it, when I went to jail. But when I went to jail, I met some beautiful older guys. And they showed me what I needed to do to survive prison. Mm. And one of the things that they always told me, shut up and listen. They didn't say it like that, but y'all know exactly what they said. And they told me, because you're so arrogant and naive, you're going to suffer first before you truly understand what's ahead of you. And I did. And just like Greg said, family ain't always blood.
That's right.
And the thing that I learned quickly is that no matter what happened to you in prison, nobody don't care. Nobody don't care. So what I'm learning now is that I need to care about something that's bigger than me. That's one of the things that I want y'all to understand. I never been involved in no organizations while I was in prison. One, I didn't like the politics of it. 2, I know most people ain't gonna like what I have to say. Because I'm one of those particular individuals. I will say what's on my mind, and you will understand that I don't like what's going on. And I will leave without no explanation. So I'm very pleased to be part of this today.
Well, I'm glad you chose to be with us. Glad we passed the LaFay test.
He ain't leave.
I didn't know. Woo.
Yeah, and
Pressure.
I'm just like I told Greg, you know, allow me to, and like I told Miss T, allow me to try to figure this thing out and find where I can fit in at and be comfortable.
Right.
Let me not say comfortable. Let me be pleasant in the spot that I'm at. Because if you get too comfortable, you don't see everything.
Right.
And you won't be able to respond accordingly because you're too comfortable.
Well, we all need a LaFay in our lives to keep us on our toes.
Well, LaFay's leaving out something though real fast. Because LaFay said to me when I got the call, when my cousin Mel told me to reach out to LaFay, and I met Mr. LaFay through Mel, and then come to find out Gregory was his person, his person of mentorship also. LaFay said to me, Miss T, before you want me to jump on board with you, I need you to look up this and look up that and read on me first, and then come back to me and tell me if you want to deal with me or not.
That's correct.
Because I have a story behind my madness.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he basically said, window shop first before you buy.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And so I'm gonna let us go and wrap this up. If you can share all of this, now this is all the formality stuff. Share, like, and follow. You know what I mean? The Bail Fund, the Reuniting Family Bail Fund on YouTube, social media, Instagram, Facebook. We have all of that just so that we can get this message, get your message out, so that the folks in Philadelphia, the folks in Montgomery County, we've got hubs all across the country that are doing this kind of work. So I'm sure they can be inspired by you, by your story, by what we've got going on. So please just share. Oh, David Murray just getting on. David, you missed it. You missed it all. You missed it all. He's going to be mad, but that's all right. And so we had a really phenomenal guest. So the first, we go live the second and fourth Tuesday. So the second Tuesday, we have a guest. The fourth Tuesday, we do like this Court Watchers edition. So we just kind of wanted to introduce that we're going to be doing the post-conviction work. But when we had Maria Manios on, and she is a phenomenal artist whose son struggles with opioid addiction. And she had a really powerful testimony, and her artwork is showcased in Harrisburg. And so she's really highlighting how the opioid epidemic is impacting and intersects with the criminal justice system for everybody, not just white folks, not just folks that, you know what I mean, choose opioid as their drug of choice, right? She recognizes everybody. And we appreciate that we have non-Black allies in this space that's holding it down and speaking the truth. And so with that, yes, it is recorded, David. You'll be able to watch it later. And, I just appreciate you all, you, Taria, too. I'll be singing your praises and got the, remind you how fabulous you are, girl. You looking fabulous now, and you always be. But I need to remind you sometimes that, yes, you know what I mean? Y'all are holding it down, and I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. We will have you back. Zach's going to have a new thing because now we're going to have post-conviction episodes. So we're going to keep it moving, whether it's Court Watchers. However, I'm just going to keep talking for another 40 seconds so we can have an hour and 20 minutes. This will be the historic episode that we ever had. And I'll just share that the intro music, I hope y'all dug it. That's my son's music. So and that's what I wanted to say. when you talked about your employment opportunities, Gregory, that's what we have to do. We're creating community for our people. We're creating employment opportunities that are safe. We're creating housing opportunities that are safe, education, all of that stuff that's safe for our people to come home to. And so you're not doing it in vain. We're all thinking the same thing, and we're all in that same space. And whoever we have, you know what I mean, that can hold it down for us in those spaces, we welcome it. And with that, I'll let y'all go. 1:20. I love y'all. Peace.
All right.
Peace.
Love y'all. Peace.
All right. Thank you for
tuning in to this episode of Purely Speculation. If you learned something, share something. Please like, follow, and share this show. The more our communities know, the more they are empowered, and the faster we can create change. Purely Speculation would not be made possible without the generous support of the Community Justice Exchange, the Health Sparks Frank E. Boston Black Justice Fund, Philadelphia Foundation, and Reform Alliance. Thank you. Booyah!
Intuition different, already lived and dreamt it. Visions make my vision clear as I'm jogging through this fog of life. I be fog eyes with the fox head, body and I'm all set. Baby, can you be my Cardi B on an offset?